Hi, it's Lori. Thanks for joining me. I am back with another Thermoweb / Gina K Designs tutorial for you. I have been in a foiling mood and I decided to give the Thermoweb transfer gel a try along with some of the Gina K products. And so I'm going to walk you through, I made two different versions of this card using the same techniques, but I'm going to walk you through just the first one that I made, and I think it turned out really fun. So to make this project, I started with some Thermoweb and Gina K products, and I have them shown here, and I will have them all linked in the video description below this video. So the first thing I did was take a piece of white cardstock, 5.5 by 4.25, and then I cut out a patterned circle using the Gina K die set in the large circles, and I cut it out in the Gina K Foil Mates polka dot paper. I actually ended up cutting that down with the middle circle. I cut the gold glitter heart with the Gina K heart die, and then I just hand typed my sentiment. Now the first thing we're going to do is grab a brush. I like this fan brush, but you can use any paint brush. And we're going to use the Decofoil transfer gel and just lightly spread a coat across your 5.5 by 4.25 card front. And you don't want full coverage. You want this to be very sparse, very unperfect. You just want it lightly covered. And we're just going to set that aside to dry. Next, we're going to do the same thing to our crepe paper. I'm using an extra long piece of crepe paper because I figured I can always use the rest of it on another project. And I actually ended up making 2 cards. But you only need about an 8-inch piece of paper. You're going to set this and the card base aside to dry for about an hour before you move on to the next step. With the magic of video, I've got one ready to go. This one's already has the gel put on it, and it has dried for about an hour. And I'm just going to, you can see how long this is. And again, I'm just going to cut this in half. We only need about an 8-inch piece for this project. So once you have that cut in half, you're going to take your laminator, which has been preheated for about 15 minutes. And again, I have this laminator linked below. I like this one mostly because it has the release button, so that if you happen to get something stuck in there, you can hit release and pull it back out. We're going to lay our deco foil pretty side up on top of our crepe paper. Make sure your glue side or your transfer gel side is face up, and you're going to run that through the laminator. And I love how this comes out. This is just really, really fun. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take our piece of cardstock that is also dried for an hour, add the foil pretty side up, put it inside your transfer tape, and run that one through the laminator. And I really love how this turns out. I think it really turns out the best when you use the least amount of transfer gel. You can see how pretty this is. It's a one-of-a-kind distressed foiled look. It's hard to show on camera. And last we have our Gina K polka dot party circle that we're going to also cover in the gold foil. So just pop that into the laminator, and then you can set the laminator aside. We'll be done with that. And here you can see that pretty gold polka dot. I think that should be a staple on every card. Okay, now you just take the crepe paper and a needle and thread and just go back and forth about every 1/4 of an inch. There's nothing fancy to this here. And you could do this by hand. I just find it easier to just put a needle and thread through it and then use that to gather it. And you just want to go the length of the crepe paper, and I'm going to cut off this end since that doesn't have the foil on it. Once you have that completed, you're just going to take the 2 ends of the thread and tie those together. Super simple, just tie the ends. I just double knotted the threads. Nothing fancy, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to start to form that circle medallion. Once you have those together, you'll have 2 open ends, and we want to connect those about like so. So I'm just going to use my Thermoweb tape runner and just put a little dab of runner on or tape on the end and just stick those together. And this in itself is a really cute embellishment, or a flower. You could do a scalloped edge and make a flower out of this. But for this tutorial, this is what we need. Now we're going to take the Gina K Designs circle dies and use the smallest one, place that right on top and run that through your Cuttlebug or your Big Shot or Vagabond or whatever die cut you have. Once you do that, it's going to come back like this, and I'm just using my fingers to fluff that back up a little bit. It kind of gets smooshed a little bit, but it's super easy to just get it back into shape, give it a little bit of texture. And then we're going to use a Thermoweb foam square and pop that right on top of our polka dot piece. Now, when I got done with this, I did cut that round Gina K polka dot. I cut that down with the middle of the 3 circle dies. I decided that was just a little bit bigger than I wanted. So you're just going to pop that on there. And then you're going to use another foam square and pop that gold glittered heart on top of that. And we'll just finish that off by adding our sentiment using the tape runner right on top. And you could put any kind of sentiment here. This could be a thank you, get well, hello, whatever you want. I use BeYOUtiful. Now we're going to cut our pattern circle in half and take our card base, apply adhesive to 1/2 of the circle, and place it along the edge of either side of the card. I'm going to use this side because it didn't have as much foil on it. And then I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to make it so it kind of comes off of the top on the other side. You see it's coming off of the top of the card base, but still on the edge. And then I'm going to cut that piece off. And I'm going to use that piece, never a scrap in crafting, right? Just going to use that piece and place that right down there. Now the next step is totally optional. I'm going to run it through an embossing folder through my die cutting machine. And I just think this adds an extra layer of fun to the card. You can see how much more texture that adds. And now we're going to pop up our circle sentiment right in the middle. And then you're going to take a piece of Gina K white 120-pound cardstock, cut it in half, fold it in half, and that's going to make your card base. This is my very favorite cardstock to use for a card base. It's really store quality or even nicer. And then we're going to take this card front and use our Thermoweb tape runner. Place some adhesive on the front, make sure it's opening in the correct direction, and place the entire card front on the front of the card. And there's our finished card. I really love how this turned out. I think it has a lot of fun elements. You can see the finished product here. Again, I cut that polka dot square or circle down by 1. Here is a close-up view of that fun crepe paper. And then I made another version using the crepe paper as a ruffle on the bottom left, and I left the crepe paper under the heart just plain. And I thought that turned out as a fun option as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have all the products to Thermoweb and Gina K Designs linked below the video in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you use those links, I do get a little bit of something, which helps support my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.